Welcome everyone to another edition of Play It Through, and on this edition it's Hudson Hawk, brought to us by Sony Imagesoft. It was developed by Ocean, which is pretty infamous for making some pretty bad licensed movie games. Hudson Hawk is based off the 1991 film which won a Razzie for Worst Picture. So you have a film that was bashed by critics and won an award for being the worst movie of that particular year, and now you're making a licensed movie game out of it for the NES. You can't have too many high expectations when first playing this game. However, Hudson Hawk the game is actually not too terrible. It's rather short, like most of the other licensed movie games, and the controls will fight you at points, but just core design, it's not a terrible title. So here we go with Hudson Hawk for the NES. We start off with a blue screen that tells us level 1 and what we have to accomplish in the stage. Now our mission in this stage is to break into an auction house and steal a horse sculpture sculpted by Leonardo da Vinci. Now as our game actually begins, you can see our character really doesn't look like Bruce Willis. You can run and jump, and you have two modes of attack. You hold in the attack button to throw a punch, or when you lightly tap the button you throw a baseball. That's going to be our main form of attack. Now to get along platforms in this game, a lot of it involves moving boxes. You push a box onto a platform, then hit the up button to move the elevator up. We can move this other box now to get up there and get to this other box where we can push this to the right, get it on top of the other box, and to get into this window. We have to avoid many of these different cameras through the game as well as the other enemies, so wait for the opportunities before moving away from them. You can either throw your baseballs or punch most of the enemies to take them out. You can see on the ground that there's different colored blocks here. If you land on the wrong one, the alarm will be sounded. You can also see in the wall there are different lasers or different things that if we walk in front of, we'll be able to get seen. So here we have to move the box just enough so that we can get onto it without the background thing seeing us. Now the random little coins will just add to your overall point score in the game. Now at the beginning it said we had to get to the 7th floor, so now we move down from the 11th to the 10th. And we'll now have to go from right to left, pretty much doing the same stuff. You want to avoid all the stuff in the background, take out the enemies with your baseballs or punching them, and avoid the floor traps. You can use the different chairs in the background to spring yourself across long gaps so you can avoid different things, but be careful that you don't end up jumping right into one of those cameras of views. Once you enter this area, you slide down a whole bunch of slides down to this ladder area, collect some coins, and then head up the ladder. Now here, be very careful while maneuvering around to watch out for the fire, and as soon as you go up, there's going to be more fire, so take your time while going up here. Come over to here and hit this switch, and then we're going to go back down the ladder. What that button did was deactivate the things I'm jumping on right now so that they're not going to kill us when we get on them. Come up here, watch out for the fire, and then press this switch right here. Throw a baseball at it to deactivate it. Now go back to the first ladder and head up it, and now you'll see that the fan at the top has been deactivated. We're now able to actually travel to the left and go past it. Jump to the bar here to easily pass the lasers there and watch out for the fire again. Activate the switch with a baseball so that you can get across the gap there, and now head down. Get about here to make sure that you actually can activate the switch. As you can see, the switch there and the previous one were flashing. That means they're eventually going to turn back on. As you can see, the fan started moving again after only a few seconds. Once you see a pattern and stuff that you can do, you're pretty much going to activate every switch that you see and move along slowly so you start watching out for stuff. Once you get used to the whole play mechanics, the game overall isn't too bad to play. We are now finally out of that area, and we have more of this kind of just left to right motion as we go through here. Use the couch to catapult yourself up to the dresser so that you can move on, and watch out for the police patrolling this area. As you can see here, that police officer couldn't cross on that panel on the bottom there, so you can use that to your advantage to make sure he gets stuck there and then launch a baseball to easily take him out. Now we take the elevator from the 9th floor down to the 8th floor. Take your time while moving over these panels, take very short jumps. It may look a little bit easy, but it takes some getting used to in terms of the jumping because it doesn't necessarily work all the time the way you want to. The momentum that you get from running and walking and jumping doesn't always necessarily work perfectly. Just another one of those things that ends up hurting the game from being any kind of standout title. Once we're on this floor, we're going to be using the boxes to get to the crates, take out the enemy and slide underneath of him. Use the chairs to bounce along. And then use this crate to jump up to the wiring and go across this area. Once we are over here, we have a few last couple enemies to take out, and then we are finally at the end of the floors. We're on the last part of the level. Make it across the floor area, watch out for the few remaining enemies, and watch out for the cameras especially. And when you get to the end, start collecting all the coins that spawn. You won't be able to finish the level until you grab all of these coins. After you've collected all the coins, you can go up, punch the painting to knock it off the wall to complete stage number 1. At the end, it says congratulations, gives you a little summary of what you just did. We have a picture of the horse sculpture that we found, and we move into level 2, where we will now have to find Leonardo da Vinci's sketchbook, the Codex. As you can see in stage 2, we start off in a subway area. Now in this stage, some new enemy types are introduced, including this guy on a pogo stick. You can stun him with a baseball, but then you're going to have to go up to him and actually give him a punch with your fist to take him out. Over here, we need to knock the box down off the ledge first, then push it over to the right, use the elevator to take it up, and then push it over to the right some more so that we can get up to the next area. Now these puzzles that we've been doing with pushing the blocks to get up to areas is nothing hard or takes a lot of thought to get through, but it makes the game at least a little bit more interesting. Once we're at this point, we're going to have to knock another one of the crates down, push it onto the elevator, but use it this time to get to a ladder to climb up to the next area. Now we're in a series of sewer tunnels, which is never fun in any game. Very similar to some of the areas that we saw in the first stage. Watch out for the steam coming out of the vents and follow the ladders up. Now the most annoying part about these whole areas is these balls that fly around. They can be a pain and they can do damage to you when they hit you. That enemy I just took out there with the wheelbarrow will throw bombs at you, one of the more annoying enemies probably in the whole game. You have to throw a baseball, usually I like to throw it from a distance so it'll hit it when I move over to the left. It'll stun it for a second, and then just like the pogo guys, we're going to have to punch them to finish them off. Travel along the wire, watch out for the dripping stuff coming out of the pipes, nothing that we haven't seen before. When we go down here, we're going to the left to get to these elevators and drop off of them and head down this ladder. More of the wires, this time we have to avoid spears though from the ceiling. But we're going to head up, don't go down the ladder there. Head up and head to the left and then up this ladder. Watch out for the spears here, head up here, watch out for the guy who throws the bombs at you. Hit him with a baseball and then punch him in the face to knock him off the screen.